And welcome back to our continuing coverage of Hurricane Laura as it barrels inland, bringing with it strong wind and very heavy rainfall. Some breaking news this morning, unfortunately. We do have the first fatality to report from Hurricane Laura. A tree fell on a home in Louisiana, and a 14-year-old girl inside died because of that. We'll have more information on that as, of course, we get it here, and we'll share it with you. And that's a concern that we have, is that trees coming down will cause damage, will cause destruction. Trees coming down will cause power outages, and the winds have been picking up here in northern Louisiana. So the system is on the move. It's on its way through central Louisiana. It's heading due north, and we've been watching those winds start to pick up at the Shreveport Airport now, gusting over 50. And, well, we are in Tiger Country, I guess. The Shreveport Airport winds gusting over 50. In Barksdale, east of town here, gusting about 55. And then south in Mansfield, where you guys have been getting some of the worst of the weather, gusting about that as well. And that's been pretty consistent for the last 2 hours. You've been up in the 40s and the 50s with the heavy rainfall. Here, I mean, you can see in the trees a little bit how we're gusty. I think we're just so protected in downtown that we're not getting that. Thankfully, that hopefully will cut back on any damage that we might see in town. But yes, actually coming down the street, you can see every once in a while we get these gusts of wind and you see the trees start to pick up. You can see that down, heading right down McNeil Street. These gusts are going to be off and on like this for the next several hours. The system is going to track just off to our east. It's on its way right now. And one thing that I think that you guys are going to notice is the pressure drop. But Greg Cosell, why don't we start actually talking about that? You know, this is a pretty strong low pressure coming this far north in Louisiana. I just saw the latest advisory from the Hurricane Center, 970. So this has got to be some intense just pressure gradient winds we're going to see.
Yeah, and the fact that that pressure is such a, it's a pretty small storm. This is not like a nor'easter at 970. This is a compact area of low pressure at 970. And it's the gradient, Jen, as you know, of the pressure that drives the wind. So we're seeing pressure differences, very large pressure differences over short distances. So we've got those strong winds, even in Shreveport, gusting to 52, Jen, right now at the airport where you are, in the north wind on the weaker side of the storm, and not even in what's left of the eye wall. Jen.
I know, and don't tell that to someone who's losing power as we speak, right? Because these 50-mile wind gusts are taking out some tree limbs. I mean, that can happen, even though that is generally the weaker side. The eastern side of the storm, you get the south wind flow, and then you also have the forward motion. So what can we expect for points east of Shreveport, and including on I-20? Do you think that we're going to see this week and beyond? I mean, it's at 100 miles per hour right now in terms of winds. Next advisory, you think they're going to drop it more?
Probably, yeah. I mean, there's not any reason to suspect that locations will inland, this far inland, will see those sustained 100-mile-per-hour winds. But there may be gusts close to that, certainly in what's left over of this northern eye wall. And that, too, will probably cross, if it's not doing so already, I-20 in Louisiana between Monroe and Shreveport. So residents in this region, take shelter now. You might as well, because this kind of wind gust, potentially over 90 miles per hour, can do a lot of damage. Shelter in place, as though this, Jen, is like a tornado warning moving through, even though there isn't one issue. Better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. Well, exactly. A lot is closed today, so no good reason to be out. I want to go back out to Tevin Wooten, right? Thank you for that. I want to go back out to Tevin Wooten, who's in Lake Charles. And Tevin, you've done some great coverage out there. I know this is going to be your last report from Lake Charles for this morning. So take us through kind of the overview of where you are right now. That water's still going up, or has it stabilized?
I think the water is sort of stabilizing, but I'm concerned that stabilization is not really going to help because the reverse flow has not gone back out to the Gulf of Mexico. But I want to show you, though, what can happen when you get into a Category 4 hurricane and you get the northern side of the eye wall, then the southern side of the eye wall. With the northern side of the eye wall, if you keep in mind, low pressures or hurricanes flow in a counterclockwise direction in the northern hemisphere. So we had this flow from the east towards the west. And this is what it did to this gazebo right here. Look at how, Chris Brew was just reporting here yesterday, by the way. The supports and the trusses for this gazebo down on the ground now, whole thing shifted that way. Okay, that's one wind direction, but keep in mind, again, the southern side of the eye wall, where winds were close to 80 or 95 miles an hour, that flow goes from the west towards the east, and that's still the flow we have right now, by the way. But look at how some of these trees are going this direction. Some of these trees are going this direction as well. And then a lot of the debris flow is from the west towards the east. So that's what you see when you're on the northern side versus when you're on the southern side. Now, overall, that southerly flow and that westerly flow, westerly components of the flow is still there. So we've got to be mindful of that. We do have reports of some potentially flooding ongoing, perhaps near the downtown and the Civic Center area. And one more thing I do want to show you, the glass at the patio level and the pool level here. Look at how some of this glass is just speckled and splattered all across this lawn right here. This was a venue for weddings, but right now, obviously, not that today, and will not likely be that in the foreseeable future, at least for the next day to perhaps week or so. That's the latest here from Lake Charles. Let's go up to Alexandria. Actually, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we do have continuing coverage of Hurricane Laura. We have our crews spread all across Louisiana and eventually into Arkansas.